Hey, what's up? How you doing? Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Sports and Stuff. As always, I'm your host, Kevin Malcolm, and I hope you're enjoying your evening so far. Now, on tonight's episode, we're going to do more of a documentary style video and go over the Oklahoma City Thunder and some guys you may have heard about before: Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. That's all I have for right now. See y'all after the video. Now, let's roll the clip. What if I told you a team would have 3 future league MVPs on their roster at the same time for years and still not win a single championship? This is the story about the rise and fall of the newest team in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder. As usual, we have to go back quite a ways, to the days of the Seattle Supersonics. The Supersonics were beloved, but after a rough patch for the team, complications with management and the city, the Supersonics decided it was time to leave. However, before the Supersonics left, they would bring the next NBA great to play for 1 year in the city of Seattle. In 2007, the Seattle Supersonics drafted Kevin Durant out of the University of Texas. In his rookie year, he averaged 20 points a game and about 2 assists and 4 rebounds on a Supersonics team that would finish an awful 20-62 in the regular season. This was the last year they would play in Seattle. After that season, the team in transition drafted an ultra-athletic point guard from UCLA named Russell Westbrook and moved down to OKC. Westbrook had a solid start to his career, averaging 15, 5, and 5, alongside Kevin Durant, who improved in every single statistical category from his rookie season. Despite having 2 amazing players on the team, it wasn't enough for the newly named Thunder, who barely improved to a 23-59 record and obviously would miss the playoffs for their 4th year in a row. However, this would lead them to find what at the time appeared to be their missing link: another amazing guard, James Harden. The team had finally gotten a boost it needed. Not only were they in a new location with fans who loved and supported them just as much as the fans in Seattle, but they also had a team with new faces ready to take the NBA by storm and leave a legacy that will be remembered by all. In this 2009-2010 NBA season, the Oklahoma City Thunder finished the regular season with a 50-32 overall record, putting them in the 8th spot in the West and finally making it to the playoffs. Unfortunately for them, they would fall in that series to Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers. But not all was bad in OKC after this. The team they lost to in the first round would go all the way to win in the finals over the Boston Celtics in a hard-fought 7-game series. And as I said before, the team was full of young talent hungry for more. The next year, the Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, would continue to improve on their record and put the NBA on notice. There's a new team on the block, and they are dangerous. As the 4th seed in the West, OKC would make it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. The last time this team made it this far was around 15 years ago in 1996, when Gary Payton and the Seattle Supersonics made it to the finals to face off against Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. But, similarly to the Supersonics team of that time, the Thunder would come up short in a quick playoff series. Once again, the Thunder would lose to the eventual champions as the Mavericks went on to beat the Big Three down in Miami. But there was still hope. This was a new NBA, and the Thunder had improved every year since Kevin Durant's arrival in 2007. If it's only up from here, the next stop was the NBA Finals. And by almost no surprise to anyone, the Thunder would do just that and improve on their last season, finishing 2nd in the West and eliminating the Lakers in the playoffs, making it all the way to the NBA Finals to take on the current NBA powerhouse of the time, the Miami Heat. This final series was short-lived and not close at all, as the Heat made very easy work of the Thunder, winning the series in only 5 games. But this isn't over. The Thunder are a good team, and they will win one eventually. Or so we thought. After the season ended, the always improving Thunder looked to make another run at the title when the unexpected happened, and the Thunder traded James Harden to the Rockets after the two sides couldn't come to an agreement on a contract extension. This would prove to be a big mistake on the part of the Thunder. In the season following the trade, James Harden exploded, averaging almost 10 more points, 2 more assists, and another rebound above his best season with the Thunder. He took his Rockets all the way to the playoffs, where he would face off against his old team. While Harden's individual talent shined in this series, the rest of the Rockets team was not prepared for Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and lost in 6 games. However, the Thunder wouldn't do much better, as in their first playoff push without the Beard, they would be knocked out by the Memphis Grizzlies in only 5 games for the 3rd year in a row. The following year, the Thunder would return with a vengeance. Kevin Durant would go on to win League MVP, averaging a career-high 32 points per game, leading the Thunder to a second-place spot in the West, only behind the defending Western Conference champion Spurs. After roaring through the regular season, OKC went on a tough playoff run, barely escaping a 7-game series in Round 1 against Memphis, then surviving another 6-game series in Round 2, only to lose to the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. For the 4th time in 5 years, the Oklahoma City Thunder would lose to the team that would go on to win the NBA championship. After the devastating loss in the Western Conference Finals, the Thunder would experience another loss. This time, it was to Kevin Durant, who was injured earlier in the season, leaving Westbrook and the rest of OKC stuck outside of the playoff picture. That was until Kevin Durant returned. In the 2015-16 season, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and the Oklahoma City Thunder made their return to the Western Conference Finals. Now they would have to prove themselves against arguably the best regular season team to ever play in the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. OKC managed to go up 3-1 and were 1 win away from making it back to the NBA Finals when everything changed. From this point forward, the Warriors refused to go down, rattling off 3 straight wins, sending OKC back home and everyone wondering what happens next. Now, what happens next might surprise you. After this season, Kevin Durant would do what the Thunder did to Seattle a few years before, and leave. But KD didn't just leave to go anywhere. He went to the 73-9 Golden State Warriors, leaving the Thunder with one member of the former Big Three, Russell Westbrook. In this wild season, Westbrook would not only lead his team, but the entire NBA, averaging 34, 10, and 10, a triple-double, and winning league MVP. The Big Three was done in OKC, and they all seemed to be doing well for themselves. Westbrook and the Thunder faced off against Harden and the Rockets in the first round. The Beard took that one, but lost in the next round to the Spurs. Meanwhile, KD and the Warriors swept through the playoffs, only losing 1 game and winning the NBA championship. Over the next 2 years, James Harden would win an MVP, KD would win another title, and Russ racked up triple-doubles like no one has ever before. Then, in 2019, we would finally get to see a reunion. Russell Westbrook was traded to Houston for Chris Paul to reunite with the Beard, for what from the outside looked like could be an unstoppable offense. While KD rehabbed another injury over in Brooklyn, Russ and the Beard made it to the second round of the NBA playoffs before being eliminated by the eventual champions. Again, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Following this season, we found out that James Harden and Russell Westbrook no longer wanted to play together. Harden attempted to get traded to the Nets in order to rejoin with KD, but Houston's new GM wouldn't allow it, and instead sent Russell Westbrook to Washington. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the documentary. I really do wish that I could leave you off with a happy ending to this story where the trio reunites and wins an NBA championship. But unfortunately, the fact of the matter is, KD seems to be happy in Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving. Russell Westbrook is going to try things out in Washington and try to erase the stigma of being called a bad teammate. And for the time being, James Harden is stuck in Houston with 2 more years left on his contract. Could we possibly see them reunite in some form or fashion down the road? I don't know. Russell Westbrook and James Harden haven't been on a championship team yet, and Kevin Durant doesn't mind switching teams every few years. So maybe they could put aside their differences and reunite for old time's sake. Either way, I want to thank you so much for joining me this semester throughout all my episodes of Sports and Stuff, and wish you a very happy holidays.